Hey y'all, let's talk people pleasing. One thing I pride myself in is that I do not people please, and I really didn't realize how much I didn't do it until people started complimenting me on that. People pleaser personality means a person who feels a strong urge to please others even at their own expense. If that is you and you are tired of feeling that way at others' expense, let's hop right into this video because I'm going to show you ways on how to stop being a people pleaser. This is nothing special. This is just some cheap wine in my big old wine glass. First thing you need to do in order to not be a people pleaser is choose yourself. When it comes to something that you do not want to do, something you are uncomfortable with, something you do not like, wanting to speak up for yourself, always choose yourself in that situation. Sometimes when you're in group settings or even just out there in the world, you put other people before yourselves. Oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings, I don't want to step on their toes, and so on and so forth. But really, you should choose yourself. Also, while thinking about others, but to a certain extent. Too much of anything can be bad, so you don't want to overly consider yourself and you don't want to overly consider others to the point where you're people pleasing. And today I'm choosing to speak up for myself, and I'm putting me first in this situation where I'm uncomfortable. Okay, I'm not gonna coddle your feeling or put you first when you made me feel uncomfortable. The second thing on how to stop being a people pleaser: set boundaries. First, you need to set personal boundaries with yourself. So think of things that you will not accept from people. For example, me, I do not let people I don't know talk to me disrespectfully, such as yelling, cursing, all of those bare minimum respect when it comes to me. Even if we do know each other, and even if we don't, no matter who it is, talk to me respectfully, because I am gonna treat others that way. You know, treat others the way you want to be treated. You know, write a list of some personal boundaries that you want to set for yourself. Somebody was rude to me, would I speak up to them? Would I cry? Would I say, okay, you're right? Or to make the situation better? You have to think of what kind of personal boundaries you want to set for yourself. And then once you have your personal boundaries set for yourself, you can reflect that in the world. Because as soon as somebody crosses that boundary, you will know. You won't be stuck at a crossroad like, does it really bother me? Does it not? No, you know it bothers you. You set a boundary on it before with yourself, saying that you were not going to allow people to treat you like, etc., whatever you listed, and you need to follow through with that. Really keep choosing yourself when you set these boundaries, knowing this is not what I'm going to allow, and this is not what I accept, and I am not going to do it just to make you happy, because we spend enough time trying to make everyone happy. Most of us are not happy with ourselves. You're going out of your way to people please and make someone else happy when really you should be doing that for yourself. Third thing is self-advocating. We need to remember that when we become adults, or even when our parents aren't around or there's no authority figure around us, we are our biggest advocate. You are your only self-defense. Now, granted, some people do have family members and cousins, uncles, aunts, and people who will come to the rescue, but most of us do not have that. When you go to work, you can't just send your mom there to defend you because someone said something to you didn't like. You are gonna have to step up and say, hey, I don't appreciate the way you're talking to me. You know, I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm sorry. Stop apologizing when you aren't really sorry, okay? Especially if something is not your fault. Remember that. We need to stop apologizing for things that are not our fault because it's a habit, okay? Every time you tell yourself sorry, you better get a popping, you know those rubber bands people wear on their wrist and they pop it to snap them out of a bad habit. If you are a chronic apologizer, you need to really start practicing stop saying sorry, because half the time you're really apologizing for nothing. And when you constantly are saying I'm sorry, it loses its value. That's like the boy who cried wolf. Stop overly apologizing for things and self-advocate for yourself. Stand up for yourself. If somebody cuts you in the line, say, excuse me, there's a line, it's back there. Don't just say, oh, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to cause a scene. Cause a scene. If they get rude about it, then stand your ground. You have to set boundaries with people. You're not going to allow somebody to treat you that way. Even if people don't listen to you, you know, we're human. You can't force everybody to hear you out and listen to you, but you will feel so much better knowing that you said something. You're going to stand your ground and you're going to advocate for yourself, because Being a people pleaser gets you nowhere, but at least if you self-advocate for yourself, you chosen yourself, it builds up self-confidence, and you believe that your voice matters. I feel like people pleasing really comes down to thinking that your voice does not matter when actually it does. You just have to be loud enough to make yourself heard. Fourth thing on the list, and the last thing on the list, is you are not responsible for other people's feelings, okay? If someone does something to you to the point where it's made you uncomfortable or made you have any type of feeling of anger, sadness, any type of emotion that makes you feel uncomfortable, it is no longer your responsibility to coddle their feelings, because when they did it to you, were they worried about how you felt and what feelings you had? More than likely they were not. So when it comes to respectfully asserting yourself and letting it be known what bothers you, setting your boundaries and standing up to somebody because you're no longer people pleasing, and it'll be easier to know, like, hey, I'm saying this with love. I am not trying to be mean. I'm setting a boundary. You did something to me I do not like and I do not appreciate, and I just wanted to let you know because it really made me feel uncomfortable. But if they say, oh my God, now you're so mad at me, oh, I'm just a bad friend or this or whatever, boo, that's not my responsibility to be like, oh no, because are they doing that for you? Probably not. And really, any mature adult should say, you know what, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. It wasn't my intention, or, you know, they can explain themselves. But for a person to be like, oh, I'm crying now because you defended yourself, but when you were crying, I didn't even care. That's not your responsibility to coddle somebody else's feelings. You are not responsible for how people feel, when they do something to you and you decide to speak up for yourself. But keep in mind, especially if you're being kind about what you said, you're not being rude, you're not doing low balls, going below the belt, saying unnecessary things, just being clear and concise to the point about setting your boundaries and letting them know that you did not appreciate something they did to you, then you are not responsible for their feelings. Really, it's about choosing yourself, setting boundaries, being your own advocate, and knowing that it is not your responsibility to think about how that's going to make them feel, especially when they already made you feel a certain type of way or uncomfortable.